Welcome back to Creative Bath, the podcast for anyone interested in being more creative. So, this episode, I'm going to kind of treat more like a diary entry. I feel like in a lot of the podcasts that I do here, or a lot of the episodes of the podcast that I do here, I frame something that I'm learning and try to give people some takeaways. And today, I don't have a solution yet. And so I want to speak from a place of honesty. And what I'd love for people to get is maybe commiserating or connecting to what I'm going to share. So am I acting like I'm going to drop something crazy? But in all actuality, I have just been feeling so stuck in a way where I'm struggling to figure out what to do next. And I think that I speak for a lot of people. Maybe I consider myself a zillennial, kind of between millennial and Gen Z, but it feels like when I was younger and I saw people growing up who were older than me, there was kind of a pathway. You went to school, maybe you went to college, then you found a job. There's kind of a blueprint for life. And I feel like we're in this weird time where it feels like people who followed that path, it actually didn't work out. People who dropped out and started some sort of YouTube career are now doing way better than they would have in another career path. Or you see, it just kind of feels like maybe a Wild West kind of setting where, how do you move forward? How do you, what are the next steps when things are changing so much? I talk on this podcast a lot about AI and stuff like that as well. And that comes to mind where I feel like I'm just kind of sitting back and seeing a lot of changing things. Things are changing under me. And I think I talked about this on the last podcast episode. But something that comes to mind is I feel like I just have been trying to be a better designer, and I want opportunities, and I want to make cool things, and I want to find solutions for problems and bring expertise to the table. And I feel like at my job, I have to position myself as an expert. I have to be the person who knows why we're doing something, what we're doing. I have to communicate with other people about why solving a design problem in a specific way is the way to go. And I've learned a lot about confidence in myself and speaking in a way that is a bit more persuasive and charismatic. And I feel like for this podcast, I am actually kind of a student where I'm actually still figuring some things out, and I'm speaking from a place of honesty, as I said before. And I just want to continue learning and growing. And that's really all I can do as a designer and as a person, as cheesy as that sounds. Maybe I am just a little bit cheesy, but that's okay. But I feel like something that I've been thinking about is a quote by Ethan Hawke, who is probably a lot of people know who Ethan Hawke is. He's an actor. I think he does directing and producing as well. I feel like it seems to be the pathway for a lot of actors. But he is someone who's inspired me for a while. Maybe it feels divergent from my personal brand, quote unquote, but Ethan Hawke is someone who, whenever I see him speaking, he speaks from a place of honesty, and he's pretty humble in the way that he talks about the other people he works with. He talks about how much they impact the work that he does. And I find that just really compelling. And one of the things that he says, or one of the things that he's talked about, is this fear of getting older, where he just feels like when you're younger, you're allowed to have potential. And as you get older, you're supposed to deliver. And he didn't expect that from getting older. And it's been hitting me pretty hard lately, because I have been working in design for I graduated design school in 2021. It's 2025. So that is about 4 years out of school. But I also had a couple of years experience while I was in design school. And for those of you who maybe this is your first time listening, I studied psychology. I did other things before I came into design. And I've just been in this place of frustration where I want to be so much better and so much more advanced and have so many other projects under my belt. I'm so hungry for that. And I feel like I'm 4 years behind all of the people who are my age. And I can't help but to kind of compare myself to people who are around my same age, who have like done all of these things and are well underway of like doing some really cool design work. And I just feel a little behind. And I read this book recently called Make Your Own Luck, which is by a designer out in London. And mostly what I got from that book is the title, like Make Your Own Luck. I think a lot of times we wait to have someone give us permission to do something, or we just wait for opportunities to come so we can finally do that thing that we're interested in. And I've found that actually doesn't work in my field. It's a field where people have to see it to believe it. And so I've just been realizing the power of making your own luck. And so I think this year, I really want to chase things. I really want to prove to myself and to other people that I can do some really creative, interesting things. And I might have to continue climbing uphill in order to do that. And I just feel like I'm making up for lost time with getting into a career later. I also would love to interview people who have been doing other kinds of work and then found themselves in a creative field. I think that has a lot of value. And I think especially as I was talking about earlier, like we're entering into a world where there are a lot of unknowns. Like who knows what kind of jobs are going to be available in 5 years? My job like now was a lot different just 10 years ago. And so I just have a lot of thoughts and ideas to explore in the new year. And in the new year, LOL, it's already 2025. But I just want to explore, and I want to take the listeners of this podcast along with me. So thanks for listening. Am I wrapping up already? I don't know. I don't have anything else to say other than, thank you for listening. I really appreciate the people who have been listening since the start. And I really aim to make this podcast something of interest and something that a lot of people can get something from. That's my hope. All right. Catch you next time.